It's time for Demonic Mercenary Unit Spotlight. Here comes the Sin Eater. Sin Eaters are horrific creatures. Once, they were mortal men and women, but their overwhelming greed and hunger for human flesh tainted with sin, combined with the corrupting influence of a Hellgate, has turned them into a form that matches their inner foulness. They're swollen into monstrous proportions and are always at a point of nearly bursting, yet forever ravenous for more flesh and human sins to devour. I think the Sin Eater and the Witchburner would get along great. They both like punishing sinners. The Sin Eater is a mercenary that can be recruited by the Heretic Legion, Black Grail, and the Court of the Seven-Headed Serpents. It costs 6 glory to recruit it, and you're limited to 1 per warband. We see that the Sin Eater has standard 6-inch movement, cannot make ranged attacks, has a +2 modifier to melee, and has a massive base size of 50 millimeters. Jumping over to the equipment, we see that the Sin Eater has some reinforced armor to give it a -2 armor rating, and a tenderizer maul, which operates the same way that a two-handed hammer does, except that it's so big it can make an attack action on every unit that the Sin Eater is in melee combat with. And like all other mercenaries, you can't change the equipment. We do see that the Sin Eater has the ability of Tough, so it's going to be a hard model to kill. Have you ever looked at a model in a tabletop game and just gone, yeah, I want to eat that? If so, Devour the Guilty will be a very interesting ability for you. There's a lot of moving parts to this ability, so bear with me. The Sin Eater is able to consume any model that is within 1 inch of it as long as its base size is 40 millimeters or smaller. If it's a friendly model, it has to pass an action roll, but it gets +1 dice to the roll. If it's an enemy model, it doesn't get the dice bonus, and it's a risky action. If the Sin Eater passes the action, the model is removed from the table along with all of its markers. Be sure to keep the markers correct and with the model, because it still owns these markers where they are. Whenever a model is inside of a Sin Eater, it cannot be attacked or targeted by abilities. It's also considered being down, and if it's still consumed when the battle's over, it's out of action. The model is able to still be activated, but its only ability is a single melee action inside the Sin Eater that targets the Sin Eater. The attack is done with -3 dice, and another minus dice to go along with the down status. Whenever the Sin Eater activates, the model inside will have 1 blood marker placed on it. This can't be reduced or avoided. If it already has 6 blood markers when the Sin Eater activates, it's taken out of action and is no longer devoured. If the Sin Eater is taken out of action, the model inside is placed down where the Sin Eater was, and it can only ever have 1 model inside of it at a time. The Sin Eater has one other ability called Vomit. It can attempt an action with +4 dice. If it passes the action, whoever controls the model that it's vomiting gets to place it within 1 inch of the Sin Eater. The model will be placed down, and this can only be done if the Sin Eater's consumed a model, obviously. Do you have your Sin Eater just eat whatever it comes in contact first, or do you try to make sure it's eating elite units? Or is it a wretched delivery device to create blood markers for the court? Let me know how you like to use the Sin Eater in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe if you want to catch more unit spotlights for Trench Crusade.